Well, there could be an end in sight for the Canada Post strike. The federal government introduced back-to-work legislation that, once passed, would force Canada Post workers back on the job. Joining us this morning is Whitfield. She's the president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers in Toronto. Megan, we were just listening to Doug Stevens. He's a retail expert as well. We'll get to the back-to-work legislation. Was there anything that he said that struck you at all that you wanted to respond to?
Well, the thing that struck me is, yes, that some consumers will probably go into the retail outlets to buy instead of online. However, we do get a lot of Amazon overflow, and we will still deliver.
Okay, so back to work legislation. We started to hear this yesterday. What is the reaction of the union and of the workers to this move?
It's very upsetting as well as disappointing because we have been in negotiations and bargaining since over 11 months. All we want is a fair collective agreement. Our members work diligently, and it's unfortunate because the Prime Minister has always committed to respecting collective bargaining, and having this legislation literally on the table as well as we're negotiating is basically very disappointing.
So what does this do to the collective bargaining process specific to this case? Does this sort of take the air out of what's been happening over these 11 months?
It may take the air out, but our members are still committed. We're still committed to wanting a fair collective agreement. Our issues have not changed. The 4 outstanding issues are still there, and we will work diligently, and we will continue to fight if we have to in regards to this.
We've been hearing today, it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the holidays. When a consumer's watching us today who says, you know, I could go to a store, do I buy online? What do I do? What is your response to that?
Well, what I say is no matter what happens, and some people are saying, well, I get my package before Christmas, right? Hopefully we get a collective agreement and collective bargaining. It will be delivered, right? It might be delayed a couple of days, depending on when you put it in, and there's always been whatever delay. But I believe whatever happens over the weekend, that most people will get their packages.
So is there any truth to the stories that there are trailers and trailers and trailers, there is backlog, just to get through the backlog will take days, let alone new things coming in? Is there truth to that?
There is some backlog, but not to what Canada Post is saying. And as we said, it might take days, but our members do work. One thing is we're hardworking, we're committed. Our fight has never been with the public, and we continue to deliver. So, yes, there was an overtime ban. There is an overtime ban. It depends on what happens. When we do work the 8 hours, our members work hard. So I could say the consumers will get their product.
There's been legal precedent for this before, back in 2011, and your union has said you will put up a legal battle if this back-to-work legislation is pushed through. What does that look like? What does that mean exactly?
That we'll go to court. Anything could happen. I am hoping that instead of having to go to court, that Canada Post gets serious, come back to the table, and we get a negotiated collective agreement. Right? But we have fought. We have been historical in regards to pushbacks, and we're hoping this is no different.
Okay, well, we'll continue to wait and watch. Thank you so much for coming in today and providing an update.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.